Welcome back to Get Down to Business. Today, we are joined by Ben Lamorte, who is a renowned expert in business coaching and OKRs. OKRs, we're going to define that in a moment. Objectives and key results. We're going to talk all about that. Ben has a wealth of experience helping organizations of all sizes achieve their goals. He's passionate about empowering leaders to drive positive change. Ben, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be on a radio show, so we don't have any visuals. I could just be myself.
There we go. Absolutely. Well, Ben, let's do your best audio explanation of the concept of OKRs for our listeners who may not be as familiar with that term.
Yeah, sure. So OKRs, I think you mentioned it, stands for Objectives and Key Results. It's basically a goal-setting framework. History in like 20 seconds is, think of Andy Grove at Intel actually throwing management by objectives, MBOs, kind of out and replacing it with OKRs, right? Objectives and Key Results. And the key there being that the key results have to be measurable statements. So we know we will have achieved this objective as measured by, and then we usually have 2, 3, or 4 key results, which are those measurable statements, typically in a very short cycle. So we're not looking at like 5, 10-year goals here. We're also not looking at agile sprints. We're in that sweet spot of typically somewhere between 2, 3, 4 months, up to maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 months, but maximum is 1 year. And that's the essence of what OKRs is. I have a bigger definition that I'll give you, which just says, it's really a critical thinking framework. Think of OKRs more as a verb, right? A set of questions that you're asking as opposed to a bunch of goals that you write down.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do OKRs differ from traditional goal setting methods? What's the benefits of using OKRs?
Well, I love it because that's kind of where I was going. I was saying, don't think of this as a, quote, system for tracking and writing down your goals, but rather a set of staying on track and asking questions at a rapid cycle. So every quarter, typically, you'll define what do we think is the most important thing to focus on. That's like the objective. Why is it important? And then you'll have those key results. But with OKRs, it's actually a process. So you can't just set it and forget it. If you write them down, like so many of us do with New Year's goals, where you just sort of say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, lose weight or whatever, and then you just go about your life, that's not going to work. We have accountability. We build in discipline. So we have step 1, write down your OKRs with your team. Step 2, check in on progress and monitor. And then at the end of the cycle, reflect and reset, capture learnings and apply it into the next cycle. So I want to emphasize that when you're doing OKRs, right, it's a verb and it's a set of questions that you ask. I mentioned that, but it's things like, hey, what is the intended outcome of that task? How will we know that we have successfully moved to the cloud or whatever the objective is? And that language, that common goal language, is one of the key benefits to OKRs because it gives everybody, typically in an organization, a way of talking about goals and goal progress using the same framework, as opposed to so many other organizations where I see, we got BHAGs, we got goals, we got different departments using different language for goals, and then people talk right past each other.
I'm chatting with Ben Lamorte, a renowned expert in business coaching and OKRs. We've been chatting all about it. Ben, you've written 2 books on the topic. You have a great website. Can you share some of the resources you recommend for those who want to learn more about OKRs and implement them in their own organizations?
Absolutely. So the number 1 book of all time for OKRs, no doubt about it, coming in number 1 is Measure What Matters. This is a book by the legendary investor, John Doerr. And what you're going to do with that book is, if you're a CEO, read it and get excited. And if you're somebody in your organization who wants to do OKRs, buy that book for your CEO, because I would say about 80% of CEOs that read this book get so excited that they start sending that book to everybody on their executive team. Okay, I realize it's hard to get your CEO to read a book, but that's really the key if you want to get OKRs launched. That book is a sales guide to here's why you need to do OKRs. And it talks about superpowers, and you get Bono and Bill Gates and Al Gore and all these gurus in there. Now, my books are, the OKRs Field book in particular is the only one I'll mention. That's the one from 2022. And this is more of a practitioner's guide. So Measure What Matters, great book to get you super excited about OKRs. The OKRs Field book, great book to get you on a how to actually deploy this. And I'll leave it at those 2. There's tons of videos out there that you can also look at as well, TED Talks and things.
Ben, you're also a transformational business coach. What are some of the key principles of transformational coaching, and how can it help leaders develop their skills and capabilities?
Gosh, transformation happens on so many levels. I'm going to give you a really quick example. When you speak as a leader, and a lot of leaders are already really good at this, they really should think of using the OKRs framework, right? That's what I do. And they should think of 2 slides. When you communicate the strategy to your organization and you want to transform everybody to get them excited about work and really move the needle, you start with slide 1, which is your objective, right? And here's our objective for our company over this next year, let's say 2025. And underneath that, you have some bullet points. Why is that objective so important? And why is it so important right now? You're using the why to educate, and you're using the why now to motivate and create urgency. When you do this slide and you have a discussion, you say, hey, everybody, what do you think? We're trying to say we're going to, shift our whole business onto the cloud or whatever the objective is. Here's why it's important. Hey, what do you guys all think? After about 5 minutes or so of having a discussion and everybody kind of sees, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this. Then you reveal the second slide, which is the key results. And here's how we will hold ourselves accountable. This is what measurable progress will look like. Key result 1, 2, and 3. And that conversation really engages people and sets the stage for the organization to make the transformation, because now we're all clear and aligned on what's the destination we want.
Absolutely, Ben. I could talk to you for hours, my friends, but that's all the time we have today, at least. I look forward to bringing you back on. Ben Lamorte, how can we follow your work, find your books, and stay in touch?
Well, luckily, I have a simple website, okrs.com, and you can pretty much find everything you need there. If you want to send me a personal note, it's just ben@okrs.com. Would love to chat with anybody who wants to learn more about this, and I'm happy to send anyone a free PDF preview of the OKRs field book. That's especially valuable if you're using OKRs or thinking about using it. You're kind of in the weeds and you want to get going.
Well, Ben, this is great. A quick break. We'll be right back.